Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. The region's foremost leader, Barbados' Prime Minister Mottley, landed in Guyana on Sunday for an official visit. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 16th February 2022. Details when we return.
Conveniently located in the Grand Shopping Centre, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Granans will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Welcome back. Barbados' Prime Minister landed in Guyana on Sunday on an official visit to speak to the issue of collaboration in the area of food security. More in this Barbados Today news item.
When ordinary people trade their goods and services, it does much to support the realization of regional food security. Prime Minister of Barbados, Mottley, told the local private sector on Sunday. Mottley said that trade will be occurring in an environment threatened by climate changes as she addressed a reception hosted by Geico, one of the participating local companies in the 2022 International Energy Conference and Expo Guyana. It is for this reason that Barbados' Agriculture Minister, Chief Agriculture Officer, Permanent Secretary, and producers are among the 14-member delegation in Guyana for the conference.
Achieving food and nutritional security within this region is absolutely critical. If that is the case, then we must work together to find new opportunities in technology to help us in almost every area of activity, especially as we fight the climate crisis. And for those of us like Barbados that are water-scarce countries and whose therefore capacity to be able to achieve food and nutritional security is compromised, then our ability to maximize the technological opportunities that exist in today's world is an absolute necessity.
The visit will also seek to forge new opportunities for cooperation between the two countries in several other areas. This approach to improve cooperation has the full support of President Dr. Irfan Ali.
And today, I'm very pleased that Prime Minister Mottley not only came here, but came with the intention to do personal, intentional, and direct work. And her style is exactly what we like. A direct contact. As I said earlier, we are working to remove the bureaucracy between the two countries.
Guyana and Barbados are working to establish a policy framework that will see more cooperation, the removal of barriers for trade for both movements of products and people.
A veteran in the public service in Barbados and parliamentarian Cynthia Ford is urging young politicians in that country to look beyond personal gain and become actively involved in the communities they were elected to represent.
Her comments came as she addressed a church service to mark her 52nd anniversary of becoming involved in public life at the Lester Vaughan Secondary School on Sunday. She made clear that politics is all about service.
It is important that we now, at our level as members of Parliament, continue to fly that flag to show the rest of Barbados that we are a credit to this society and that we are not out there for personal aggrandizement, that we want to drive the biggest car, or we want to build the biggest house, or we want to do whatever. That is how we are perceived. And it is so far from the truth. The majority of politicians, despite whatever sides they are on, because there are about 5 or 6 political parties now, we are there to give representation to the people of Barbados. And that's why I want to nurture, as my days go by, and I have been relieved from the hard work in the ministry where I was, and it was not hard in the sense that it could not be done. But there were so many intricacies that I felt it is my duty to let a younger person come in and understand the kind of work that they have to do to be able to say, I have been laboring in the vineyard to make sure that the poor people of Barbados, are the most vulnerable, get that piece of the cake that they deserve.
Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister hints at constitutional reform to address much-needed changes in the public service. More in this TTT News Report.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley believes this country's investment opportunities are being hampered by too much bureaucratic red tape. He says changes need to be made to our legislation.
The constitution that was written for us in 1962 in many areas is wholly inappropriate for Trinidad and Tobago in the 21st century, 2022. If I tell you now that it is my view that permanent secretaries should not only come from those who come up and float up to the top in the public service.
The Prime Minister adds, permanent secretaries should also be contracted from the private sector.
Today, people at the level of permanent secretaries in Trinidad and Tobago, many of them have not had the pathway of the experts we had before.
He noted that they lack the managerial skills and therefore do not take responsibility for their department. Prime Minister Dr. Rowley made his comments as he opened the Nutrimix Group's $60 million Next Generation hatchery in Cuba on Monday.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Antigua and Barbuda's ambassador to the United Nations and Organization of American States, Sir Ronald Saunders, says the Caribbean cannot ignore the escalating tensions in Europe as Russia amasses troops on its border with Ukraine. Ambassador Sanders convened a meeting among Ukraine's ambassadors to the United States and the United Nations and all CARICOM ambassadors in Washington, D.C. on Monday to review the situation and the wider international implications. He tells ABS News there will be significant ripple effects for the Caribbean if Russia carries out an incursion in Ukraine as feared by the West.
Well, apart from the fact that it will start a bloody conflict, which will result in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people, because the Ukrainians are not going to lie down and play dead if they are invaded. They are going to resist and resist strongly. You must recall that Ukraine was an independent country since 1015, and it has had successive invasions of its territory, first by the Russian Empire, then by the Soviet Union, and now an attempt by Russia. And they have always resisted Russian annexation of their country, even though in 2014 Russia did manage to annex the Crimea and to declare it an independent republic. The Crimea is a peninsula off of Ukraine into the Baltic Sea. But they are going to stand up and fight, and there's no question about that. They've actually mobilized, apart from their regular army, 400,000 of their veterans who volunteered to come out to fight. So you can understand that the Ukrainians are not about to lie down and allow themselves to be invaded. But beyond that, this will draw other European nations into the conflict and will very well draw Canada and the United States too, because they are both members of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, with European Union countries that are concerned about the security of Europe, particularly against Russia. So we are going to see, if that escalation happens, we're going to see a very bloody situation. But beyond that, we're going to see serious disruption in the world because Ukraine is the breadbasket of the European Union and the Middle East. It is from Ukraine that supplies of food come to Europe and to Middle Eastern countries. If that food supply is to stop from Ukraine, there will be food shortages around the world with a knock-on effect of raising food prices everywhere. Now, that's one scenario. The other is that if Ukraine is attacked, Russia will stop its supply of oil and gas through pipelines to European countries that are part of NATO, including Germany and France. Now, if that happens, they're going to start looking for oil and gas on the international market. That means they're going to be buying from markets that we traditionally buy from, and that will create A, a shortage, and B, higher prices. And that's the last thing we in the Caribbean want, because we are now emerging slowly from the COVID-19 pandemic and its economic effects. The last thing we want is high oil and gas prices, which will push up the cost of everything, including our tourism, air flights, cruises, all the things which our economy needs, but it will also push up the price of food and will push up the price of electricity and the supply of water, all of which needs energy, source from which is fossil fuels. So that's the impact on a global scale, and at all costs, that is what has to be avoided.
Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invokes emergency powers in order to bring the truckers' blockade under control with a view to ending it altogether and putting Canada back to work.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has invoked never-before-used emergency powers to support provinces in ending the blockades and public disorder that have gripped Ottawa for 18 days at the hands of participants in the so-called Freedom Convoy.
After discussing with Cabinet and Caucus, after consultation with premiers from all provinces and territories, after speaking with opposition leaders, the federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act to supplement provincial and territorial capacity to address the blockades and occupations. I want to be very clear. The scope of these measures will be time-limited, geographically targeted, as well as reasonable and proportionate to the threats they are meant to address. The Emergencies Act will be used to strengthen and support law enforcement agencies at all levels across the country. This is about keeping Canadians safe, protecting people's jobs, and restoring confidence in our institutions.
Conveniently located in the Grand Shopping Centre, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Granans will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.